everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, November 2nd, 2014. When is anyone going to notice that Nikki is lit up, that she's walking around town completely sloshed? Even a child can see that she's popping mints like they're candy. She's trying to have a little grandmother-granddaughter moment with Faith at the very beginning of the week, and she can't stop popping the breath mints in her mouth, and Faith is like, why are you eating so much candy? If a child can notice this, why can no one else? It drives me insane. I'll give you, okay, maybe they can't smell it on her breath. Maybe. But at the end of the day, is no one noticing the personality change here? Is no one noticing that she's going out of her way to hide things? That it always seems like she's being secretive off in the corner taking a swig. It's ridiculous to me that no one in her life is noticing this, and I don't know, maybe it's because no one's paying enough attention to her that she's doing it in the first place. I don't know. I just don't know. All I know about this relationship between Victor and Nikki is that he's not happy about the fact that she was involved in the sting operation to capture Ian Ward, but Victor at the same time is not complaining about the fact that Ian Ward is now behind bars. He was off in another country while all of this is going down. He was so concerned about Nikki's safety. The guy broke into the ranch and tried to needle her, and then Victor kind of abandons her, leaves her for days and days and days. They're not communicating with one another. He comes back, at least Ian Ward is behind bars. It's clearly far more about the fact that Victor's jealous that Nikki now has this relationship with Paul. It was about, how could Paul put you in this type of danger, and how could you do this and not tell me? It's Victor feeling slighted and isolated, that he's not up in every single little detail of everything. I really think that the opportunity was missed out to have the final showdown between Victor and Ian Ward. That was what I wanted to see. It was all well and good to see Paul and Nikki and Dylan give him the big kiss off, but I really wanted to see Victor go head to head, and it kind of feels like Victor just dropped the ball on all of this, and now he's mad about not being involved, mad that Nikki's been lying to him. Well, it's not that much different than all of the other times that he's lied to her time and time again. This is the pattern of their relationship. Oh, but this time the shoe is on the other foot, Victor, so it's not okay. I see how it is. So they have this huge argument, another in a series of huge, nasty arguments. She storms out of the room and he finds her AA pamphlet. So it's kind of indicative that Nikki's trying. She wants to get better. She even said to Faith, you know, she said something like, I'm sick, but I'm trying to get better. Yeah, she explained it that the medication she's taking leaves a bad taste in her mouth, so that's why she's eating all the mints. I mean, alcohol is very much her medication at this point, but she's clearly trying to get back on track, evidenced by the fact that she has the AA pamphlet. But after she leaves the room, Victor finds the AA pamphlet sitting on the desk. He picks it up and looks at it with this wide open mouth look, but then nothing for the rest of the week. I mean, later in the week, a couple episodes later, Victor's sitting there pondering over those paternity results. He's got the Nick's wine glass and Faith's hairbrush, and he's sitting there thinking about it. Well, Victor, hey, why don't we try focusing on one clue at a time, okay? Or maybe Sharon's big secret is that Nikki's off the wagon. We've got a new lab set. Yay! It even says lab on the door, so you know that it's the lab. I love it. It's at Chabot. They've remodeled their laboratory in anticipation of this new product. Do you guys remember the old lab? There was a lot of scenes in the old chemistry lab back in the 90s with Ashley, and she had an assistant his name's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it. But Ashley used to spend a lot of time in the lab, and we hadn't seen it in a while. And now here it is, freshly remodeled, very nice, very bright. The old lab was kind of dank, but you get the idea with this one that it's fresh, it's well lit. You've got all of the jars half filled with colored water all along the walls, and the frosted doors, and the little testing stations and desk and office, and it's just fresh. I love it. We even got the hallway extension. I think they kind of revealed that in an episode a little bit later in the week, that you can walk out into the hallway. There's a lab number 2. I don't know if we'll get to see both labs or what. Maybe while someone's making love in one lab, someone could be actually working in the other. But we got this long hallway with these beautiful pictures and even old Jabot ads on the wall, which I think could have been more. I would have loved to have seen, like, instead of the flower picture on the opposite wall of the Jabot ad, more Jabot ads. Like, oh, Y&R, please go back and create like old Glow by Jabot ads, and or Beauty of Nature was Newman Enterprises. I don't know, whatever the different products have been that Jabot has made over the years. Please, please, please make those posters up and put that in the hallway as sort of a throwback history to the history of Jabot, what the company actually is. It's headed in the right direction. You know, I love business storylines. I think the fact that they went ahead and built us a lab set is saying we're gonna get some sense of Jabot as a business from now on, and I love that. I want them to take it even a step further. I think this is really cool. I wish Newman Enterprises would build a similar set. We got Victoria's office, so it's kind of clear where we're headed here, if you can judge the storyline by the sets that have been built. Now Victoria's got her new office, we've got the lab, and as soon as Ashley was on the phone in the first scene of the new lab, she's talking to somebody about how the security system hasn't been installed yet, but they're working on it. I knew something was up. I'm like, oh, corporate espionage. They're gonna have security in this area, but it doesn't happen to be fully functional yet. As also clear by the fact that anyone can get in. Anyone. I mean, Victoria bumbles in right away. She's the head of their #1 most rivaled company, and she just walks right in to their development room. It's so inappropriate. I mean, of course, they have a personal relationship, but Ashley needs to be very, very wary. I mean, Victoria acts like it's all innocent, but she totally was thumbing through things on the desk. She picked up a folder. She could easily find out what the big secret is, so Ashley needs to stay on top of her. Ashley does catch her in the lab, and they have what's a surprising, I think, surprisingly friendly conversation. I would have thought Ashley would have said, okay, I'm gonna usher you out of my secret lab now, and anything personal that we need to talk about, we can talk about in another room or in the hallway or in my office or whatever. Victoria does not need to be nosing around the top secret lab. But instead, Ashley was very kind with her. It really seemed that, I don't know, Victoria was there to get questions, or excuse me, to get, it's very early in the morning, I haven't even had my coffee yet, so forgive me if I'm a little extra scattered, but Victoria was there to ask Ashley some questions about Stitch, and Ashley seems very giving with answers. I think Ashley has a crush on Stitch, and she wants to have a potential relationship with him, but she doesn't want to get him by default. I think she really wants to help this decision be made without her pushing too much, because I think Ashley ultimately would like to see Victoria with her brother raising the baby, and I think Ashley would like to have Stitch for herself, which is actually kind of how I would like things to be. But Ashley was very kind to Victoria, giving her know as much information as she can. After Victoria leaves the lab, Ashley has a conversation with Stitch where she reveals she was the one who bailed him out of jail. I suppose I should have guessed that, but I didn't. I'm a little mad at myself for that. But she bailed him out, and not only that, but she wants to take him on a business trip. I think she really does want him, but I think she's hoping he comes to her without the aid of the love potion. I mean, come on, Y&R has been kind of building the Ashley-Stitch relationship since before Eileen Davidson was even on the show. They had little flirtatious moments before she even came back full time. So it works for me. I hope that that's the direction it's headed in. I'd like to see Billy be the father of Victoria's baby, or you know what? Even if it is Stitch, I just want to see Ashley and Stitch together, because in the moments in the hotel room where Ashley and Stitch are having this little business arrangement, I wonder if it was the same hotel room that Devon and Hilary were staying at. I don't know. But Ashley comes into his room and, I'm so sorry, I just happened to have my shirt off. Oh, here, let me take care of that. He's, shirtless in the room, and they're kind of flirtatious, and they've now kissed, but Ashley's trying to almost be a kind, I guess it comes off as just kind and caring overseer of Stitch and his situation. But I felt more for Stitch in the few brief scenes that he's had with Ashley than I really ever have with him and Victoria, or even like him kissing Abby. The Ashley-Stitch connection just works for me. I hope that's how it ultimately works out. They're kind of talking back and forth about Stitch's father. It's clear that Stitch is ready to tell the truth. I mean, we've been theorizing for weeks that Maureen was the one who actually killed her husband and Stitch was taking the blame for her. I think it was obvious. We all kind of know it. And now it's time to see Stitch struggling with whether or not he should tell Victoria the information that will probably help him get her back and build a life with her, or continue to keep the secret to protect his mother. So he's really at a crossroads, and by the way, Maureen seems fairly confident that he is going to keep her secret, but I don't know. He's been going back and forth with Ashley. Ashley's trying to tell him, hey, I understand what your situation is. It's kind of funny because Ashley had said or alluded to a couple weeks ago about how she was put in jail for attempted murder, and I immediately thought, oh, well, she's talking about her father, how she was protecting her father from murder charges, where I got quite a few comments where people were saying, no, Ashley was talking about how she got thrown in jail after Tucker was hit, but she did say in the hotel room that she was talking about her father. And I think the reason, even though it is true she went to jail with Abby, I think the reason why Y&R was highlighting that moment is because it was her protecting a parent. It really is the same situation. Ashley didn't want to see John go to jail for Tom's death, so she pretended that she was the one who killed him, and she ended up getting arrested. And although it didn't work out quite the same way as it did with Stitch, she is able to identify with him and give him a little bit of advice, and he said at the end of their conversation, "You've helped me make my decision." I don't know what that is. I watched that scene twice, and I was trying to get a sense of what he's going to do, and I don't know. I'm not sure what the truth is, or I'm sorry, I don't know what his plan is. Victoria is ready to hear the truth. She ends up overhearing Dylan talking to Stitch, and Stitch is telling him about how the information he has could change everything. And so Victoria approaches him and says, "I can't really picture my life raising a baby with a man who has lied and who has murdered someone. So if there is something that you need to tell me, please tell me. Stitch almost immediately hops up and runs over to his mother's room where Nikki and Maureen are there. Nikki's kicking back another room temperature vodka. Ugh. I can't imagine anything more vile than room temperature vodka. Ugh. It's just, that's awful. But they're in there. Again, Maureen is, she's the devil there. She's constantly offering Nikki the drink. She's the tempter. It cannot be a coincidence. I'm sorry. If someone told me even once, yeah, I don't really drink, and clearly was hesitant about the idea of taking the drink, you know, me being not a manipulator, I would sense that about her and I would not offer anymore. But no. Maureen is constantly there to offer Nikki another drink, and Nikki's constantly unable to resist the urge. So Nikki's there drinking. Stitch knocks at the door, and Nikki says, oh, I can't be seen. She runs off, as a matter of fact, she kind of like takes her drink, scurries off into the bathroom. I loved that Nikki didn't set the drink down. The drink came with her, like it was a travel mug, and she just takes her drink in her bag and runs into the bathroom, and she's just probably still sipping away, listening to this conversation. Ben comes in and is telling his mom, I don't want to lie anymore about killing my father. And Nikki overhears all of this enough to understand what had happened. I mean, even though it has not been expressed that Maureen was the one who killed him, it's certainly now been expressed that Ben did not. So as soon they're having this argument, and Ben is saying, please, I want to tell the truth, and Maureen is like, no, absolutely not. You need to continue to keep this secret. It's what's best. I'm not even going to talk about this with you right now. She shuffles him right back out the door. Well, Nikki comes in and says, what was that all about? If Ben didn't kill his father, who did? You know, I want you to tell me the truth, because this man may be the father of my daughter's child, so my daughter deserves to know the truth. And Maureen, her response was very, it was kind of villainous. She said, you know, well, Nikki, I've kept your secret, and I trust that you will keep my confidence as well. So it's more about, look, you overheard what you overheard, but don't think that you're going to go telling anybody, because I have goods on you. And it was very subtle, but it was quite clear what the score was. So Nikki had to kind of say, all right, leave the room, and she immediately calls Victoria, wants to tell her what this news is, but doesn't. And later in the week, Victoria is again in the lab. Was it this? I think it was another day or a follow-up time Victoria was in the lab. And Maureen happens to be in there too. They need to get this security locked down. People cannot just be wandering in off the street. At least get a lock on the door. I'm not going to complain too much because I like the lab set. But Victoria and Maureen happen to run into each other at the lab. They're both looking for Stitch, and Victoria really nails down Maureen, wants to know the truth, and has kind of an idea. I think Victoria gets that there's more to that story, and that Stitch didn't really do it, and that he's covering for someone. Victoria just wants to hear it. She wants to hear it from somebody's mouth. It has to be more than a suspicion that she's gonna base her life on. So Victoria's really needling Maureen, and Maureen is saying, you know, I'm just not gonna give her the details that she's looking for. In fact, all Maureen really said was, Benji's a good man. He's Benji now, by the way, in case you didn't realize, or in case you missed the note. Stitch is now Ben, is now Benji. I think we should just all call him Benji from now on. I kind of like it. It's a little endearing. And I like the actress who plays Maureen. I think she's doing a really good job. And she says, you know, the only thing you need to know about Benji is that he's a good man. He really is. Even as a child, he was always concerned about other people and about doing the right thing, and that's all you need to know. And I think Victoria gets the message loud and clear. She's not going to give me the details, but there's more to the story, and he didn't do it. Victoria calls Nikki on the phone right after this happened, and she's, you know, saying, I sensed that there was more in your voicemail that you wanted to, or was it a voicemail, or I think it was a voicemail, that you wanted to tell me, and I'm ready. I want to know the truth. But my question is, what exactly is it, you know, beyond the information that Victoria is looking for? Is Victoria looking for a justification that it was okay to sleep with Ben in the first place, which ended up leading to, you know, at least in part, the downfall of her marriage? Or is Victoria looking for a reason to allow herself to love him now? Okay, Billy and Chelsea were kind of adorable with their Halloween costumes and their little family. Chelsea's dressed up as, what was it, Little Bo Peep, and her son, Connor, was a little lamb. He was cute as the little lamb. That did touch my heart a little bit. And then Billy got a monkey costume for Johnny. It's adorable that they both have children, young children, and that they're finding some solace in one another. Both Billy and Chelsea have been through a loss within the past year, and it's, I think, interesting that they're finding some lightheartedness within one another. They have, you know, some things in common, and I do enjoy their relationship, even though I think I'd like to see Billy ultimately back with Victoria. For now, though, they're trying to move on. It's kind of funny because Billy is in the process of moving into Chelsea's condo, and Jill even stops by, very enraged that Billy would even be considering moving in with the woman who was married to the man who killed his daughter. But she said something interesting that was, you know, if you find out that you're the father of Victoria's baby, all of this that you're doing right now is going to be moot. So no matter how much you claim that you love Chelsea and are ready to move on with Chelsea, if that baby that Victoria is carrying is yours, you're going to forget about this in about a heartbeat. And I think that's what Chelsea's maybe worried about too, but they almost seem like they're both in kind of a limbo sort of stage. They enjoy each other's company, and what they're doing now, being together, feels good now, and the future will be what it may. They are both attempting to move on. Billy's moving into Adam's condo, being a fatherly, taking on a fatherly role to Adam's son. He's not about to sleep on Adam's mattress too. So he has that, like, his rule number one is, I gotta get this mattress out of here. I'm not about to sleep in the bed where Adam slept. I mean, it's hard enough to think about her even being with this monstrous man, let alone sleeping in his bed. So Adam is the third person in this relationship still, and now they're in this house together. So it's kind of been difficult for them both. Billy requests that Chelsea make a little room for him in a drawer. She goes to a drawer, pulls out that handkerchief. It was a gift that Adam gave to Chelsea. It was his mother's handkerchief, and it was something that Adam had planted in the house a couple months ago when he had that guy sneak it in to kind of remind her. So this handkerchief is something that's very precious. It is representative of their relationship, and beyond that, it's a family heirloom. So she sees it and naturally has a very strong reaction to it, and surprised me by taking this handkerchief to a church where she lights a candle and begins to have a monologue where she's talking out loud to Adam, and in fact she is saying goodbye to him, that, you know, she loves him, but it's time for her to move on, and it was very symbolic. She takes the handkerchief, she leaves it on top of the altar, and she walks away from that part of her life. I was very shocked that she did that. First of all, didn't you maybe want to save that family heirloom for Connor? It was his grandmother's. I imagine imagine they have very few things. He has no, he doesn't have, he's never going to really know his father, and he certainly doesn't really know his grandmother. I didn't like that she gave that away. Obviously it was something that was hers, but I don't know, it bothered me. Put it in another drawer or something. Don't just leave it there. Oh, but never fear. Just as Chelsea is turning around and leaving the chapel, it's ridiculous. A hooded woman comes in and picks up the handkerchief that was left, and a couple of episodes later, Chelsea receives an envelope that she picks it up and it contains the handkerchief. The handkerchief has returned to her. So much anticipation and questions around who this hooded woman is. We got a very clear view of her face. It wasn't anyone that I recognized, but I will tell you right now exactly who that woman was. This is my Allie theory, but I feel very strong in it. I believe that is the woman who killed Delia. I mean, I've been looking for who's it gonna be. I mean, we all know Adam's gonna come back. He's not gonna have been guilty of Delia's murder, and it's not gonna be any other character on the show. So what we need now is the fall person. And I think that's who she is. I think this woman has been feeling guilty about the fact that she ran over Delia the entire time. She watched the whole thing play out, and maybe she was even going to come forward, but then when Adam died, she decided, no, I just better not. But now that Adam is going to be coming back, I think we're going to be seeing more of this mystery woman. I think she's going to play a very key role in helping Adam prove his innocence. Kelly bursts into Jack's office, and she is pressing him to make a decision now. There's no reason to wait any longer. You need to make a choice. It's either Phyllis or me, and there's no more delaying. I want your answer. Choose now. And she was very forceful about it, and it kind of made me respect her a little bit more. She has been hanging out on the sidelines. She has not pressured him. She has not really tried to contact him. She has not chosen to fight for him. And so it made me respect her a little bit that she made that decision. However, I don't think it's going to work out the way she thinks it's going to. It's such an impassioned speech that she gives, and this relationship has clearly had no closure whatsoever. So there's a lot of passion in the room. The relationship it was not allowed to run its course. Neither Jack's relationship with Kelly or his relationship with Phyllis was really truly allowed to run its natural course. Both were interrupted. So there's clearly a lot of passion in both ways. They're both very unresolved. And Kelly's speech is so genuine that Jack can't help but just move in and give her a huge kiss. He is someone who is driven by passion, and he just scoops her up in his arms and kisses her and then jumps right on top of her on the couch. Right there in his office. I knew as soon as I'm watching Jack with his butt up in the air. He's just like hunched over on top of Kelly. I'm like, oh Lord, someone's gonna walk in. Who's it gonna be? I just hope it's not Phyllis, because that would be a horrible way for her to find out. No, it was Avery. And she, as a matter of fact, was kind of wanting to talk to Jack about the whole triangle herself. I mean, everybody is looking at Jack to make a decision now. So it's an awkward moment, Avery seeing Jack on top of Kelly. They both get up, and Kelly's just so happy that he chose her that she skips out of there and says, well, we can finish this later, Jack. And they have another kiss, and she leaves, and then he has a conversation with Avery. But back to Kelly, I don't think that Jack kissing her was a decision. That doesn't seem like a decision to me. That seems like a delay tactic. I think Jack very much does not know what he's going to do. I think his best case scenario is to wait it out and see where it all goes. And he didn't say to Kelly, I choose you. I want to be with you. He kissed her, jumped on top of her. And Kelly took that as, oh great, we're going to be back together. I just don't think so. And I think Jack, I saw a preview from next week where Jack is telling somebody that it's time to tell Phyllis about Kelly. I don't think he's gonna do it. I think that's, you know, a Y&R teaser. I just don't see this working out for Kelly the way she thinks it's going to. And Jack is kind of getting on my nerves. He's only got maybe another couple weeks before I'm going to start to turn on him. He's going to need to make a decision soon. It's not fair to Kelly. Not to mention, it is categorically unfair to keep the truth about Kelly and frankly, the fact that the truth about everything from Phyllis. She's not a withering flower. I don't understand why everybody's like, oh, no, we can't tell Phyllis anything. Why? It makes no sense to me. She's gonna find out sooner or later, so why postpone it and make yourself end up looking like a liar? Their whole thing is tell her nothing, tell her nothing, tell her nothing, rather than maybe at least giving her little seeds. You're gonna have to tell her, so you need to start prepping. Plus, Jack, how is she gonna feel when she finds out that you've been lying to her the entire time? That the whole time you've got her in your house and you're allowing her to believe that she's your fiance, you've got another woman on the side that you're smooching in your office. How is Phyllis gonna feel when she finds out about that? Well, I can tell you, she's not gonna feel loved, she's not gonna feel respected, and she's not gonna feel wanted. It's not gonna work out in your favor. Just tell her. I mean, I understand, you know, Jack even had a line where he said, I kind of get the feeling, I think he said this to Avery, I kind of get the feeling that Phyllis has got something she's keeping from me too. Well, I mean, at least Phyllis has got an excuse for not telling Jack her suspicions about Summer's paternity. Busting Sharon would just be too much fun to resist. It seems like the only people who are actually telling Phyllis anything about the events of the last year are peripheral people, you know, in her life. You know, it seems like she's always finding out the truth just from somebody random and not from the main people in her life who should be protecting her and helping her through the process of what it's going to mean to learn the truth. It's not just about keeping the secret. You're gonna have to dip her toes in the water, you guys. Avery did end up kind of accidentally giving her some information. She was trying to explain about the situation with Austin, and Phyllis is struggling to accept this boy. And Avery's trying to explain it. She lets slip that, oh yeah, that kid we grew up with, Dylan, remember how we all knew him our entire lives? Yeah, well, his biological parents weren't really his biological parents. In fact, they just happened to be Paul and your ex-mother-in-law. What do you know? Then leave it to Abby to fill in some more blanks for Phyllis about Mariah and the fact that Cassie had a twin. I loved the line where Phyllis said, ugh, only Sharon could not know that she had twins. It was very funny and representative of the rivalry. At the end of last week, the show ended with Phyllis showing up at Sharon's door, pretending, you know, saying she knows everything. That whole visit was cryptic at best. It seems like Phyllis is constantly saying, you know, I know, or actually it feels like everyone on the show is saying, I know what you did, and then it's never that. That's the same reason why I know Jack isn't going to tell Phyllis next week, because Y&R is just teasing right now. That's all they're doing is teasing. But I think next week is probably going to be a very big week. The telltale signs are there that the truth about Sharon is about to come out. Phyllis steals Summer's phone and sends a text message to meet to Nick on Summer's behalf to meet him, and she's clearly just trying to get Nick out of the way so that the fun with Sharon can begin. Nick and Sharon are preparing for their Halloween re-wedding, second try, version 2.0. It's been a good week for Nick and Sharon fans. I do like the idea of the Halloween wedding, whether it ends up happening or not. I did laugh when Mariah shows up at the door and it's Halloween, so she's dressed in this all white hooded thing, and Sharon opens it up and Mariah's just standing there spookily, and Sharon thinks it's Cassie's ghost. Oh Lord, when is that old trick gonna be over? We need to move past that. I really do think we need to move past the Sharon seeing Cassie's ghost or thinking Cassie's ghost is there, because even later in the week, Cassie's ghost did show up, and you know it's Cassie's ghost because she's in a pink fuzzy sweater. Mariah is in more dramatic colors, but it's Cassie because it's pink and innocent. Ready to be done with all that. But I gotta ask you guys, what the hell was Mariah's costume supposed to be? Was she just supposed to be a giant marshmallow? I don't know. It was not attractive. I felt kind of bad for her because how old do you think Mariah is supposed to be? Probably college age. Girls of that age want to wear sexy Halloween costumes, not giant puffy, I mean, what was the material? I don't even know. Hooded, white, ridiculously giant, oversized, couldn't possibly be less attractive Halloween costume materials. I didn't get it whatsoever. Faith's little costume was cute. I guess they just needed to both be hooded. I don't know. I loved that Mariah took Faith up to the main house to do trick-or-treating with Victor, and Victor, they must have some kind of new cook, because Victor said, oh, so-and-so has some homemade candy for you in the kitchen, and Mariah quips, that's kind of funny, the big bad wolf giving Little Red Riding Hood candy. That can't end well. I love the scenes between Victor and Mariah. I've said it before, she plays against him very well for such a young actress, because I'm sure he's not easy to share a scene with, but I like that she gives as good as she gets, and there's a part of me that thinks maybe Victor respects that a little bit. But Mariah's the one that tells Victor that the wedding, Nick and Sharon's re-wedding, is today, otherwise he would have no idea. He's completely on the outs with what's happening in that relationship. I felt like this week is probably the last of the wonderful moments between Nick and Sharon that we're gonna have, at least for a little while. I think Y&R's clearly kind of dropping these seeds along the way. They don't want to blow up all the storylines at once. They're kind of letting it out slowly. That's why I think Phyllis isn't gonna find out about the Jack and Kelly thing for another week or two, but I do think the Sharon secret is just about to come out. And I really enjoyed the final, the nice quiet moments we had this week. There was a beautiful lovemaking scene between Nick and Sharon. It was just very slow and tender, and both telling the other how they feel and about just being married once again, and you know how they both feel loved and supported at this point in their life, and they're looking forward to their future. And then everyone in the wedding party got dressed. It was Noah and Mariah and Faith and Nick and Sharon, and they had this fun family photo sequence. Noah's taking pictures and they're all posing nicely and then kind of funny, and then there was some cute pics of Nick and Sharon kissing, and it was just it was a lovely little photo sequence. I really appreciated that, and I loved what followed, which was Mariah coming around. This is now this second wedding has allowed Mariah to feel more like a part of the family, and she admitted that, and it's so cute to watch her go, like, to watch Mariah not wanting this intimacy with Sharon or feeling uncomfortable by the loving relationship with her mother, but not really being able to deny that she likes it. And Mariah did admit this week that she feels like a part of their family, and she does love. Well, I don't know if she said "I love you, Sharon," but it was a good moment between mother and daughter and acceptance. And I hope that sticks around even even after the big blow up happens, because while all this is going on at Nick and Sharon's house, Victor's up at the ranch going over that DNA evidence. He's got, you know, he's looking at the wine glass, looking at the hairbrush, like thinking, I don't know, is he gonna figure it out? I thought, as that was going on, I thought, what is he even doing with this? It's over. The test is over. Who cares? Faith is Nick's daughter. What are you going over the DNA results for? There's nothing else to be found here, Victor. And sure enough, that's not quite what happened later in the week. But he ends up going down to see Nick and Sharon, and he issues them a warning. This is going to be bad for you if you continue to go through with this wedding. And of course, it makes him look like the bad guy. I think some of that's going to be shifted later on in the week. He goes back up to the ranch, and Summer happens to stop by, and they're kind of talking about Phyllis and how she seems a little different. And could it be the medication, or Summer's just trying to talk to Victor, and then all of a sudden out of the corner of her eye, she looks over at the desk and says, "Grandpa, what's my hairbrush doing here?" Am I the only one that did not pick up on that at all? I mean, obviously the revelation is, oh, the DNA test showed that it has nothing to do with Faith. If it's Summer's hairbrush, then we're showing a match between Summer and Nick. I had no idea. Were you watching all this time? No, like, was there a scene? Please tell me. If you respond, leave me a comment about nothing else this week. Tell me this. Was there a scene where Summer left her brush at Nick and Sharon's and Faith picked it up? Did I miss it? Because I had no idea that was Summer's brush. And if this entire time everybody else knew, I'm going to feel like such a fool. So please tell me, was that a shock to you as much as it was to me? I mean, I've been talking weeks and weeks about this whole paternity thing, and it never once occurred to me that it was Summer's brush. But if it was not, if that was a twist, bravo, YNR. I never thought of that, never would have seen it coming, and totally appreciated it. This is great. We saw from the previews of next week's show that Victor's going to tell Summer, I need to tell you something. Again, I doubt that he's even going to tell her. I don't know, but it's got to be getting close. The very end of Friday's show also ended with Phyllis showing up at Sharon's door, and now that she's gotten Nick out of the way. And the preview also showed that Phyllis takes Sharon into the stairwell. So it may very well be that Summer's finding out from Victor at the same time that that Phyllis and Sharon are finally having their stairwell showdown. It's gonna be good. I think next week's show is gonna be really, really good. I feel very strongly that Nick and Sharon fans, of one I am one, I think we have had our time to enjoy the wonderful romance and the fun and 2 weddings. It's been a Nick and Sharon extravaganza over the past month. We have had our time to enjoy that, and now I think the fans who are not Sharon fans, I think Sharon's enemies are going to have the chance now to really enjoy and really relish in her downfall. Joe Cook is my favorite new character on the show. I mean, I guess I got Gina recast as Phyllis is so good for me, but he's a new character. He's my favorite new character on the show in a while. He's just, and yes, it has everything to do with his looks. I mean, he seems like a good actor. I like the way he delivers his lines. He's very smug. I think it fills a spot. I need a sexy villain, and that was a sexy villain, but with a heart, maybe some regret, sprinkled in there. And Adam was the one that filled that void, or what filled that space for me, and he's been gone, and so now I love Superman Joe. I wish he would have been dressed as Superman for Halloween, because he's definitely giving me Superman vibe. I'm gonna have a nickname for him. I think I'm gonna call him Superman Candy. You know, I I really like him if I give him a nickname. And Sex Wolf has been gone for so long, and Sex Fox, Alex, they've been gone. So Superman Candy is my new man. I'm really enjoying him on the show. Also, the other reason I think I'm enjoying him is because he represents a business storyline that of course is tied into personal, but he shares his business plan with Kane this week, which, by the way, I enjoy that he knows Kane. I enjoy that he comes with a built-in friendship. So that's really cool. I think they play off of each other well. But Joe tells Kane this week that, oh, I love it, he's an evil commercial real estate developer. Love it. I love this story. He is planning on buying up some buildings in the warehouse district and turning them into, I guess, maybe a shopping center or a mall, or I don't know, paving paradise and putting up a parking lot, I guess was his thing. But the unfortunate part of it that Kane realizes is that Dylan is going to be the loser here, that one of the buildings is Dylan's. I don't know, I assume Dylan owned the building, but apparently not. Apparently someone else owns the building, but Dylan just does everything with it. Unfortunately, when that building sells, Dylan is going to have to relocate his business, which is not the end of the world, by the way. I mean, it is inconvenient and everything, but if you're leasing, surely you have to realize that it could be temporary. It's not going to destroy your business. I mean, it's heightened, for the drama, but I mean, in reality, you can just move, Dylan. It's not going to destroy your world. But I think Joe is happy if it does destroy his world. Kane is trying to tell Joe, this deal might not be, it's not good for the little guy, and Kane's kind of going soft, but Joe's all about how, what a great, business, it's a rush to do these kind of deals. Joe did mention that he's not the financier of this project, so he's not doing this, he doesn't seem to control he doesn't control the purse. So he is just coming in as to broker the deal. But my question is, who's his boss? And could it be someone who does have it out for Dylan, or is that just a happy coincidence? Maybe he's connected to Ian Ward. Everything I theorize now is someone connected to Ian Ward. I'm trying to think of who's Dylan's enemy could be. I don't know. Maybe that's not the direction it'll be going in, but I couldn't help but wonder. This storyline has put Kane in the middle once again. I like it. I like seeing more Kane because Kane's kind of friends with Dylan, and he knows Joe as an associate, so he's kind of in the middle of this. And also, I think Kane has been struggling with this new career choice of his. He doesn't feel like running the athletic club is very exciting. It's great that he gets to spend this time with his wife and family, but it's not the most exciting career path, and Joe kind of knows that, and there's a little bit of banter going back and forth, and I loved how Joe was talking about the number one motivating factor in business is, and Colin comes up behind him and says, money. I can't do an Australian accent. I gotta learn. But Colin gets up in it, and he is wanting to know all the details of what Joe's got going on, and he's sort of nudging Kane in the direction of, hey, wouldn't you like to get involved in this business? My son, he's pretty good at business. Clearly, Colin believes that Kane should be doing something else with his life. But not only that, as an added bonus, Colin is seeing that there's some money to be made, and that there may be a little bit of an in here with this Joe guy, and it could be a way to pay off his debts, because Colin's still got that hanging over his head, and maybe people didn't really want to see him laundering money out of Fenmore's, and I didn't want to see that, so maybe Y&R switched that storyline a little bit, and he's gonna get up in there and help Joe. I like it. I think that's a good trio. Kane and Joe and Colin. There's gonna be some good scenes for in there. I'm enjoying. I think that's got a lot of potential. It's getting Kane thinking about business again, which I like. He needs to, to come back from just being a family man, maybe have a career of his own. I am noticing that there have been quite a few private scenes between Lily and Joe, and I'm not sure if it's just that Lily is drawing out what Joe's internal dialogue is, or if there's something more going on, because it seems Joe is always revealing to her that, yes, I love my career, I'm very driven, but I have sacrificed my personal life for my career. That hurt my marriage to Avery. I think that if I had it to do all over again, I would have a wife and kids. I would have more of what Kane has. And I don't know if that's where it ends, or if there might be a little something to a Joe and Lily relationship. I wonder if it kind of seems like maybe Joe and Kane are gonna switch places. Like maybe Joe's kind of ready to settle in and Kane's ready to ramp it up. I don't know. We'll have to see how that plays out. But at the very end of this arc for the week, Dylan gets the phone call from his landlord that the lease is up, and he only has 2 months for Avery to convince Joe not to sell the building, and then Joe asks her to sleep with him to save Dylan's business. Michael has to go in for his biopsy this week to find out if he does have cancer. This storyline's getting in my head already because, well, was it the other night? It was maybe like last night or 2 nights ago. I watched Y&R before I went to bed, and then I went to bed and I had a dream I had cancer. So thanks, Y&R. Thanks for putting all of this positivity into my mind. It's sad. It really is sad. Michael is preparing himself for this biopsy. He's being very suspicious. Kevin ends up catching him being suspicious and thinks, is Michael having an affair? That's automatically what they go to when someone's being suspicious, an affair. And Kevin does confront Michael about it. An affair? Have you seen my wife's hair? Why would I leave a woman who has hair like she did this week? I had so many people calling in and leaving comments about Lauren's hair on, oh shoot, what, maybe it was Wednesday or Thursday show. Believe me, I know, I saw that hair. It was not good. It was not good. But hey, you know, you can't knock it out of the park every single day. So I forgive them. I forgive the stylists for that. But Michael does tell, you know, Kevin, of course I'm not having an affair. And he kind of admits in a roundabout way how he feels about what's going on with him without, you know, giving the specifics. You know, Michael is someone who likes to control things. He likes to know the outcome, and he likes to be able to prepare for it. And this is something that he can't control, and he can't know the outcome, and he cannot prepare for. So this has really thrown him for a loop. He ends up getting the biopsy without telling anyone, and he comes home to find Lauren dressed in her private Halloween costume, which is a sexy nurse. Oh, Lauren, the irony of that Halloween costume. Can you show me where it hurts? Oh man, could that dress have been any shorter? By the way, if it was any shorter, it would have been crotchless. And I noticed too that, I mean, she's so tiny, she's so busty, but she's so tiny. Like, that dress was teeny tiny. It's probably like baby sized dress, and it was even loose on her around the arms. Like, geez. Hey, I gotta hand it to her. She's got a rockin' bod, and there ain't nothing wrong with showing that off. I thought she looked good. She's in the process of showing her husband her sexy little Halloween costume for him, and I laughed because they're just, you know, she's getting ready to smooch up on him, and he's like squirming around like, I just had a biopsy, I can't do this. And there's a knock at the door, saved by the knock, and it's Kevin going, hey guys, I brought my own treats. I just loved that they're trying to have this sexy moment, and then annoying Kevin is like, hey guys, I got candy. It was funny, but Lauren has to go in and do a costume change. Kevin comes in and he again confronts Michael about what's going on. And of course, Kevin thinks they're alone, and he says to Michael, look, if you're having an affair, just tell me. And of course, Lauren overhears that, because this show could be retitled The Young and the People Who Accidentally Overhear Things. She can't let it go. She can't unhear the word affair. She knows that she loved Michael as much as he loved her, and she still had an affair anyway. So she does confront him. She confronts Kevin, confronts Michael, is trying to get to the bottom of this. Michael insists that he loves her. It's not an affair. I want him to tell her, but at the same time, I think I understand that Michael just doesn't want to worry her and everyone else if it's nothing. I don't think he's coming from a place of deception or secrecy. I think it's because he loves his family that he doesn't want to tell them. Lily is convinced that Hilary is pregnant, and she's telling Kane this just as Neil walks in and overhears. Oh yeah, you know, his hearing works real great. Like, he can hear the phrase, Hilary is pregnant, from a mile away, but hearing another man in her hotel room, no sense of that whatsoever. The story, it's just so far-fetched. That's the problem. Whatever. Devon has heard Lily's theory too about Hilary being pregnant, and he actually goes and confronts her and asks her if she's pregnant. She says, of course, no. He just never stops cornering her. He never stops pursuing her. She says, I'm not pregnant, but they agreed that this was the end, and then it's only a couple days later, and he's already trying to convince her to come back with him, or that there's a way that they can be together. And this time, Devon comes up, he tells her that he has a compromise, okay? Devon's compromise is that she can stay married to Neil and then just have an affair behind Neil's back. That's the big compromise, okay? So basically, what you're already doing right now, that's the compromise. It's going on with exactly what you're doing already. Devon! Where are your morals? Where? Oh, they've been compromised, right? I am so disappointed with him. He's not the one that has to go home and go to bed with Neil. He's not the one that has to lie in bed next to him at night. It's easy enough for him to say, yeah, let's just continue on with this affair. But he doesn't have to live with Neil. It's so selfish. All of this is selfish of Devon. It's selfish of him with his relationship with his father. It's selfish of him with his relationship with her. If he really loved her, maybe he would stop pressuring her. And he said something like, well, I don't know any other way that we could be together. Well, okay, here's a weird idea. Maybe you could just tell Neil. He's blind, not deaf. Just tell him. You're not saving him from getting hurt at the end of the day. Neil gets hurt either way. So just tell him. And now they think that they're gonna just try to convince Kane that it's over so that they can move on and keep having this affair in secret. It's not gonna work. Everyone gets hurt. It's comment time. Okay, Michael called in and left me a voicemail this week and mentioned that pretty much it feels like Leslie has been exchanged for Hilary. And I never really thought about it that way before, but Y&R was really allowing Leslie to be on the scene. She was up in even at the beginning stages of Neil and Hilary's relationship, and then she was just gone. It does kind of feel like Y&R just decided to sideline Leslie and swap her out for Hilary instead. I thought that was a really interesting point and something I never thought of before. Michael also was kind of taking my comments about Phyllis being played by Gina Tognoni as opposed to Michelle Stafford. He was kind of taking my comments sort of to the next level. I was talking last week about how I just felt like Michelle Stafford had become too big for the room, too big for the scene, and Michael was kind of taking it a step further and saying, you know, Michelle Stafford just got to be annoying. And it's kind of funny because I also, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, got a voice message from Anna who mentioned that she was deciding to pick up General Hospital and watch General Hospital. She called me back this past week and said, yeah, my General Hospital experiment only lasted 3 days. But it's kind of interesting because last week I had just some spare time and I was like, well, I could watch a movie. There's nothing I really want to watch. And so because Anna had mentioned she was started watching General Hospital, I thought, all right, let me just see. So I go on YouTube, I watch 2 episodes of General Hospital, and it's fine, it's easy to pick up. I'm a Y&R girl for sure, but oddly, Michelle Stafford kind of turned me off of General Hospital. I thought, I was just sort of feeling kind of glad to be done. I feel really bad. I don't want to disparage Michelle Stafford because I don't think she did anything wrong. I don't think she's a bad actress. There's just something that it's not clicking with me as well. And honestly, I probably would have maybe picked up a couple more episodes of General Hospital, but I felt turned off by the same annoying qualities that Phyllis had as the character she's now playing on General Hospital. Like, she's constantly repeating her lines and just trying to be bigger than the other person in the room, and I understand part of that is whatever character she's playing, but it comes off as overbearing and just too much. I probably would have watched a couple more episodes, but I was just like, I was just feeling kind of glad to be done with her, so I stopped. Sorry. Jennifer Budin on YouTube says, Phyllis remembers everything. She knows about Kelly, and she remembers the so-called secret. Remember, she was at both houses. She knows everything. This is evil Phyllis. Remember the anti-coma juice? I think that's a very interesting point, and at the very end of Friday's show, the way Phyllis showed up at Sharon's door and said, trick or treat, there was something about that did give me evil Phyllis vibe. I kind of think, though, I mean, we can't ignore the fact that the doctor was saying over and over, look, she may be different. There may be something different about her. That's gotta mean something. And this may be it. It may be that this version of Phyllis is bad to the bone. On the alternate side of that, I think, well, I wonder if there's any chance she's going to take Sharon up through that stairwell because she wants to remember too. I mean, she said on multiple occasions, I have feelings or flashbacks or memories or about things, but I don't know if they're memories. So maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe Phyllis is confused, but there is a very real part of her that is wanting revenge. Astraberry on YouTube says, hi Allie, I think Phyllis always knew the big secret. She was just waiting for November sweeps to reveal everything. Yes. Yes, very good. Starlight1228 on YouTube says, you mentioned why Phyllis hates Sharon, and that just proves what Kelly's fate will be. The new nemesis for Phyllis, again, the result of another woman stealing the feelings of her man. Do you really think Jack and Kelly are going to be back together? You guys tell me. Who do you think Jack is going to end up with? I don't know why, but I just feel like maybe Kelly's gonna be left out in the cold on this one. Aaron Brody on YouTube says, I am so tired of Victor and him twisting things around to make himself look like the hero. Yes, you brought back Phyllis without any disregard for her life or well-being using experimental drugs. You tricked Summer into signing the consent forms, and you lied to Nikki again about where you were for the 100th time, and not once has he apologized to anyone for any of it. And by the way, anyone for anything. I'll add that. I don't think Victor's ever apologized for anything he's ever done, ever. Aaron continues, the only reason why he did get Phyllis out of the coma was to get ammunition against Sharon. If Sharon had no secret that could hurt Nick, do you think Victor would be worrying about Phyllis in a coma? Hell no. I agree, and I could not have said it better myself, and it ties in with something that Nippy Fan on YouTube, who is the YouTube username, but called into my voicemail this week for the first time, which was cool. Nippy Fan said Victor's obsession with Sharon is because his ego is hurt. She didn't want him. And I thought, you know, that is exactly what I was thinking all week, and I didn't tie it in when I was talking earlier, but I 100% was thinking that. Why is it that Victor goes to Sharon right before the wedding. He finds out that Nick and Sharon are getting married, so he goes down to the main house and he confronts Sharon. Why is it about confronting Sharon? If Victor's intentions are pure and he wants to save his son from being hurt, why not have that conversation with Nick? Why not go to Nick and say, son, I'm concerned about this. I mean, this doesn't even sound like Victor, but why not approach it with Nick? Why go to Sharon? And I think what Nippy Fan was saying, it rings really true. I think it's because Victor wants to bust Sharon in the same way that Phyllis does, out of revenge. Gary had called into my voicemail this past week and was talking about an article that he saw in Soap Opera Digest, which I love. I'm kind of jealous because I wish I got that magazine, because Gary had also mentioned there was an article about Michael Mooney, which I looked online to try to find that article if I could read it myself. I guess Michael Mooney kind of talked out for the first time about everything that happened with him being let go from YNR, and I searched around on the internet and couldn't find it, so I'm a little jealous that I didn't get to see that. I want to hear exactly what Michael Mooney had to say, but primarily Gary was reading an article about YNR and how they have been doing a really good job lately of incorporating the history of the show into the current storyline, with the exception of Nikki and Stitch. Nikki is now at the point where she's learning about Stitch's past, having killed his father, and YNR has failed to mention that Nikki killed her own father. I hope that that's a brilliant point, Gary, and I thank you for bringing it up to me, because it wasn't in the forefront of my mind, and I'm hoping that YNR is maybe going to address that a little bit down the road, because that could, I mean, Nikki could be the one to kind of help Stitch incorporate back into the society at Genoa City. She, more than anyone, even more than Ashley, probably understands what Stitch has been through. Even though Stitch didn't ultimately kill his father, it's something that I think Nikki could really identify with him about, and I think that's a cool point. Michael Brackens on Facebook said, in response to my poll question last week, I put up a poll at yrchat.com about Maureen. What's her intention? Is she a villainous or is she harmless? And Michael had mentioned he thinks that she's Ian Ward's conniving sister. I like that. I know that I always think that everybody's connected to Ian Ward, but I just think she is. It's too convenient that she's right there pushing Nikki over the edge, and I can't think of anyone else who would have it out for Nikki at this point in place. So I think that's a really good theory. I like it. Gina had called into my voicemail and said, the whole love potion thing is corny, but if it's gonna be a love potion, it's gonna be a love potion. I've heard a couple people say that the love potion is a little lackluster. I don't know why I like it. I'm willing to take this leap. I mean, for crying out loud, if I can believe that Neil's walking around blind and not catching the fact that his son and his wife are having an affair, I'm willing to take the leap and believe in a love potion. Half My Cake on YouTube says, you notice how Billy says he's 100% ready to move on with Chelsea while still rocking his wedding ring. I guess not, Billy. Ooh, that's a good point. You know I love that point. Have My Cake. And she also says, Adam returns Wednesday, November 5th. Set your calendar. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I think it's going to be really good. It's funny, Gary had also mentioned in a voicemail to me earlier in the week about that clip on The Talk. The Talk had done an interview series with maybe 5 of the new cast members, and I watched it. I usually don't. It was the day that I was bored and watched General Hospital. I watched that clip from The Talk where new Adam was on it, and I don't have any really huge impressions yet. It's kind of hard to tell. I don't really like watching interviews with the actors. I know that's weird, and it was so uncharacteristic of me to see that one, because I kind of think part of the reason I got turned off by Michelle Stafford was because I saw a panel interview where she was on it, and I wasn't connecting with her whole vibe. Like, there was something about her that just seemed a little egotistical to me, and I really think it was after that point that I started getting kind of sick of Phyllis, or seeing her in a different light. So I tend to want to steer clear of those things, but I saw that interview too, Gary, and I think it's interesting. Of course, I also loved seeing Joe, the guy who plays Joe in that one, and Gina and Tognoni and Burgess, and I don't know the guy who plays Joe's name, but I'll have to figure that out so I can lust after him appropriately. It was a good discussion, but I need to not do that too often. I don't want to be spoiled. I want to enjoy the characters in my little bubble. And finally, Anna had called into my voicemail this past week and was wondering who the mystery hooded woman was, and she said, was that Adam dressed like a woman? Maybe. Anna also said, I hope where this is going is not plastic surgery. She said, you know, please tell me that the new actor is not going to be brought on under the guise of Adam was burned in the fire and had to get plastic surgery and now he happens to look like this. Anna was saying, please just let, you know, I don't want that complicated backstory. Just let the new Adam come onto the show on Friday, and it says the role of Adam Newman is now being played by Michelle Stafford. Okay, everybody, my vlogs are getting longer and longer right now, but it's sweeps, right? It's gotta be sweep season. I gotta get it all out there. There's a lot to talk about, and now it's your turn. Please leave me your comments. You can leave them on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. You can go to yrchat.com. You can call to my voicemail at area code 309-588-4569. However works best for you. I love reading, hearing your comments. It means a lot to me, so don't be shy. Okay, that's it. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Bye!